UFC 327, as you see there, the co-main event, Taira versus Van. That's not happening now. That got moved to UFC 328 as the co-main event there. But this is still a pretty exciting card.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque on the early prelims.
I didn't even catch that. Holy shit.
So, I mean, yeah, this card's super stacked. Let's go through some more of the prelims here. So that one, you got Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. That's two, like, high-ranked flyweight women. Mateus Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovics. That's a super fun fight. Kevin Holland, always fun, versus Randy Brown. He's going to put up a good fight against Kevin Holland. And Patricio Pitbull and Aaron Pico, the two Bellator guys. Loser probably is getting his walking papers in this one.
Well, Pitbull got a boring win last time out before losing, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't. The UFC don't care about boring wins anymore.
That's right. And obviously Pico had an exciting fight going, but
he was winning. Yeah.
Yeah. He got finished the first round. I'll make a prediction on that real quick, just because I'm going to go with my heart. I really hope Pico wins.
Same.
He's an exciting fighter. He's always had such promise, but he just ends up being on the receiving ends of his brutally knockouts because he just doesn't seem to fight. He fights very carelessly, it seems like, at times for someone who's so talented.
He gets overexcited when he gets somebody hurt and starts, he just forgets that they can come back and hurt him,
Yeah. And as much as we'll dog on Pitbull for being kind of boring and this hasn't been a great UFC run, he is a veteran. So I could absolutely see Pico rocking him, getting careless, and then getting finished here. But I hope
especially if Pitbull knows he's fighting for his job. Dangerous fight, yeah.
Yeah, but could lead to most exciting fight that Pitbull's had so far. Because
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Pico does bring that out of you. Pico doesn't have really a lot of boring fights, I will say that.
No, yeah. He's he usually hurts his opponent and gets overexcited going for the finish and gets rocked.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I assume that's probably what's going to happen here too.
And if that's an exciting fight, and I don't want to segue, but I'm just looking at my notes here. Let's talk about this first fight.
Yeah, Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. Neither guy's ever been in a boring fight.
Two absolutely fun guys here. Nate is 18-7, 9 KOs, 2 submissions, 7 decisions. He's had performance of the night 3 times and fight of the night 2 times. Cub Swanson is 30-14, 14 KOs, 4 subs, 12 decisions. He's got a fight in the UFC Hall of Fame already with Doo-Ho Choi. Performance of the night 1 time, fight of the night 8 times, knockout of the night 2 times. Most bonuses ever at UFC featherweight division history. This guy is Mr. Excitement. Now, I think if you size these two up, I think Cub has a little more tools in the toolbox. I think he's a little better on me, but Cub is later in his career. That being said, Nate's had a lot of wars too. So it's an interesting fight. I can see Cub maybe getting this to the ground as fight goes on if he survives this. And I think I could see him submitting Nate or eking a decision. But I'm going to go with Father Time on this just because Cub's been in this for so long. And I think Nate, with the constant pressure, will eventually find that chin. And I think he's going to get the finish here. I'll go round 3.
Yeah, I expect an absolute brawl when either of these guys fight. So if Cub is technical and defensive, he has the chin to outlast Nate in the first 1.5 rounds and then turn it up on him. I think as soon as he gets socked the first time, he's just going to bite down on his mouthpiece and brawl, though. So Cub is in this rotation of win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1.
Right.
It's his turn to lose. So I'm with you. I'm going to pick Nate by round 3 TKO because I assume, if he's going to put him out, it's going to be after Cub takes some damage. So going to be a fun fight. Or even if it goes to decision, it'll be a fun fight.
Yeah, this one of those few fights, it's almost like it's going to probably be more fun if it goes to decision.
Yeah, this next one, I would bet a lot of money it doesn't go to decision. So Dominick Reyes versus Johnny Walker.
No, this will probably not go to decision. This is a fun fight too, though. I like the matchmaking here. Reyes is 15-5, 10 KOs, 2 subs, 3 decisions. Performance of the night twice, fight of the night once. I don't know why I didn't put it in my notes, but he basically had lost 3-4 in a row, came back, won 3 in a row, all finishes, and put himself in a great position, but then recently got finished and lost. So he's kind of battled back, keep the momentum going that he had. Johnny Walker, though, 22-9-1, 17 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions. I mean, so out of 22 wins, he's only gone to decision to win 2 of them, right? So this guy's had performance of the night 5 times. This is going to be a fun fight. I agree with you. Both of these guys have been knocked down plenty of times. They both hit hard. Someone's probably going to get finished. I'm going to go Johnny Walker gets the win, actually. I think Johnny is evolving as his career goes on a little more from what I've seen. And I think even if Johnny gets rocked, which is a possibility, I think he comes back to win this. I'm going to go Johnny Walker round 2 TKO.
Yeah, someone is getting knocked out like a cartoon character also, like not just a regular knockout. I want to say like Reyes is faster and like faster hand speed, quicker feet, and so he should win. But like Johnny only needs one to land like one shot. He's so explosive, and mostly he's so unpredictable that it's very unlikely that Reyes is able to get out of the way of every shot. He basically needs to fight a perfect fight. So I'm kind of with you. I'm going to pick Walker. I assume he's going to land on him at some point, probably early, with some like flying knee and KOs him violently or something. So violent KO for Johnny Walker. I'll say round 1. They just get after it.
Okay.
Another very interesting matchup here. Curtis Blaydes versus Josh Hokit.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually that kept popping in my head last night when I was taking the notes. Like, I don't know if this might be the one fight that's not exciting, but it could be. But it's definitely it's interesting. Either way, it's an interesting fight because Hokit is 8-0, 5 KOs, 3 subs. So this guy is undefeated and he's finished all his fights. He's 2-0 in the UFC and he's had 2 performance bonuses as well. So great career so far to start off with. Like, he's starting off great. But Curtis Blaydes, man, you're talking about one of like the top heavyweights who's like never been a world champion, but he's always like near the top, who seems to lose right before he gets that opportunity. 19-5-1, 13 KOs, 6 decisions. You know, Curtis gets a rep for being a born fighter, but this is a guy who's had performance of the night 4 times. You know, he usually just finishes you on the ground a lot of times with ground and pound. He had a violent finish over hours to Overeem one time. Like,
yeah, he had that brutal cut on Alistair, yeah.
But when you look at it, like, you know, what's Hokit's problem going to be? Like, this guy, Curtis Blaydes, has most control time in heavyweight division history, most top position time in UFC heavyweight division history. So this is a tough matchup for a young fighter. I'm going to go Blaydes by decision. I just feel like this is a lot from anybody. But, oh man, if Josh Hokit gets in here and finishes Curtis Blaydes, like, this is a great momentum boost for the heavyweight division that desperately needs it.
I want to start off by saying I'm not a Josh Hokit fan. Like, well, I'm not a fan of like his shtick, you know, his, you know, wrestling promo style, MAGA, whatever.
Well, yeah.
But I do have tremendous respect for his athleticism. He was a D1 athlete in football and wrestling. Yeah. And he was like an All-American wrestler. So definitely can put, you know, I think a good fight against Curtis Blaydes. So, you know, wrestling wise, very interesting matchup. He is a guy that could put Curtis on his back, which I'm not sure if we've seen that, but I imagine Curtis not very good off his back. Most wrestlers aren't. But like you mentioned also, he's only had 8 fights, right. 2 of them in the UFC against, I don't know who they were, but they're outside the top 15 heavyweights in the UFC in the worst era of heavyweight of all time. Curtis Blaydes has been in the top 10 for a decade.
He's fought guys like Overeem, Dos Santos, Nagano. Like, he's got
multiple times. Yeah,
not Nagano because he got caught each time, but he was beating Francis Ngannou early on in their careers when they fought each other. Yeah.
So that makes me want to pick Curtis. Yeah, I'll say he gets him down, lands elbows for the finish, because I imagine Josh is not great off his back being a wrestler either. So I think he's going to land those heavy elbows like he did on Overeem. I'll say round 2 TKO for Curtis Blaydes. Too much too soon for Josh Hokit. Another fairly interesting fight here. Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa, who is fighting up a weight division.
Almost similar, undefeated guy, but Azamat Murzakanov, he's 16-0, 12 KOs, 1 sub, 3 decisions. He's 7-0 in the UFC with 6 KOs, performance of the night twice. Paulo Costa, though, 15-4, 11 KOs, 1 subs, 3 decisions, performance of the night twice, fight of the night 2 times. He's a guy, no matter what weight class, too, who carries a lot of power. You know, that's something Paulo Costa can bring to the table, but I think he's a little outmatched here. with Azamat. I think this guy is going to be the real deal. I got Azamat winning ground and pound. I'm going to say round 2.
Yeah, Costa hasn't had many fights at light heavyweight, but it seems like he cuts a lot of weight from middleweight, so it could be good for him. But I think he's sort of being fed to the lions here with Murzakanov. So I'm going to assume that Costa fights very defensively, which could get him to a decision loss. But I'm hoping that Murzakanov can get a finish. But I'm going to go Murzakanov decision because Paulo Costa fights so defensively. Our main event here for the vacant light heavyweight belt, Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg.
Ulberg 13-1, 8 KOs, 1 sub, 4 decision. He's on a 9-fight win streak. Fight a night 1 time, performance a night 3 times. This guy is, again, looking at 13-1, and he's had 9 finishes, right? So great finishing record. But then you got Prochazka, 32-5-1, 28 KOs, 3 subs, only 1 decision. Former UFC light heavyweight champion, fighting night 3 times, performance night 5 times. Prochazka is a guy who's just all about being exciting. He's all about being different. He puts himself in tough, tricky positions sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? You just never know what you're going to get. He's so unpredictable. He's a lot of fun, and I kind of root for this guy because I think it's like you never know what's going to happen. There's an extra sense of drama when Prochazka fights. Like, is he going to be on his game and he get a finish tonight? But that being said, because he's so dangerous, I don't like picking him a lot of times. So I'm going to go Ulberg, and I'm going to say Ulberg gets I'm picking a lot of 3-rounders, 3-round TKO here.
Yeah, Ulberg has looked very good, especially getting a win over Jan Blachowicz last year, who's a very tough stalwart in the division, but you simply cannot train for Jiri.
No.
And I don't think that Carlos has the experience to deal with him. So I think Yuri's going to catch him with some weird ass flying knee or spinning back fist and then follow up with like ground and pound, like he does. So I'll take the risk. I'll say Jiri by TKO. I'll match your round 3.
I hope you're right. Either way, Miami, I think you're going to be in for a good night of fights here. Miami seems to be lucked and blessed with that. So hopefully we continue to get that. Before we move on and finish the show, why don't we tell people we got coming up one more time?
April 18th, UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Malott, 10 p.m. from Winnipeg. And then April 25th, UFC Fight Night, Aljo Sterling versus Zalal, 8 p.m. from the Apex. And then May 2nd, UFC Fight Night, Della Maddalena versus Prates. That's 7 a.m. from Australia. Super fun. JDM versus Carlos Prates. That's going to be a very good striking match.
Absolutely. Guys, enjoy UFC 327 this weekend. And for you Patreon folks, we're going to talk a little boxing, primarily Tyson Fury and his next fight on Netflix, along with Dante Wilder. I love you. Boom, getting knocked out.